Alright, I think I found the spot where they mention the body type preferences for women of what men should look like.
Okay.
Wait, so hold on. Well, I think if, for example, though, if you look at aspirational body types, so if you look at superhero movies, you look at the women who are cast as female superheroes, the men who are cast as male superheroes, the male superhero body type is like, you need to basically treat the gym as a part-time job, probably need to be on some sort of steroids. Like most of these guys,
Yeah, I mean, those muscles are excessive. There's no way that just getting something like that naturally would be more than a full-time job. You would have to literally live at the gym, and even that might not even work because you need recovery time. So yeah, I think he's right about that. Like you pretty much have to be on steroids
like Hugh
for some of those physiques.
Jackman, and then
Captain
who's the guy who
America?
plays Thor?
Chris Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth. I'm pretty sure he's on
They're
gear.
ripped. Yeah.
Like these guys
I don't know for sure, but I would not be surprised, at least for those periods of time where they had to shoot those movies.
are taking performance enhancing drugs.
To achieve
Scarlett Johansson, ScarJo. Who's the girl who plays Wonder Woman? What's her name?
Gal Gadot.
Gal Gadot.
The lady that cannot act.
Like
know she
that
loves
body
Scarlett
type,
Johansson?
they're just like
No.
they do some Pilates or some shit.
She literally was pregnant when she filmed like the first one.
Okay, guys, but their body is really hot. Like,
I'm not saying that like they're just lazy slobs. Surely some work goes into it, but the physique of the female superhero as depicted in Hollywood movies it's achievable by
Sure, but it still takes a lot of effort.
more women than
But yeah, sure, you probably could do it without, medicating yourself.
if compared to the male body type depicted in Hollywood films is less achievable.
I don't agree. It's easier for a man to get back in shape and to achieve his peak physical form easier than it is for a woman, because scientifically we lose fat. The older we get, the slower we lose fat. So a woman being in peak physical form is way less hard. It's harder than a man being in his peak physical form because it's easy for a man to drop that weight.
Okay, so you're arguing that men lose fat easier? Is that
Yeah, it's easier for a man to be in shape. Like, look at a man that is in his 50s versus a woman that is in his 50s. A woman has to try really, really hard to keep her shape. All a man has to do is really just take care of his body. It's simple for men, they always,
I mean,
it's easy for
I wouldn't exactly say that. I think it's true that women tend to keep a little bit more fat on us just genetically. So it probably is true that it's easier for men to lose fat and keep it off. But I think overall, just like a general level of fitness, maybe not to the extent of like superhero level, but like generally being more or less fit should not be that difficult for either gender. Unless you're like right after you've just had a baby or something. Obviously, times like that, women would be disadvantaged. But I think for the most part, I think it's not particularly difficult to be like generally not obese for either gender. But I wouldn't say it's easy for men to work out so much that they look like one of those superheroes from the superhero movies or comic books. That's definitely I don't agree with that. That takes so much work.
a man to
okay.
get back in shape, in my opinion.
what I'm talking about, well, now you're shifting the goalpost to being in shape. I'm talking about
Yeah, so yeah, just being not obese is way different than the superhero level that he was mentioning.
aspirational body types.
Correct.
So if we're talking about, because women like to argue, oh, the female beauty standard, it's so hard, blah, blah, blah. But if you actually look at like physique, so body, face is kind of being removed here, although even I can
Okay.
make some arguments that reaching, like having
Okay.
the ideal male facial structure, whatever, like that's actually like way fewer men fall into like ideal male facial structure than like do women fall into ideal or attractive female facial structure. But when it comes to what was the word I used? Aspirational. That aspirational physiques and body types. You look at male superheroes. That's way less men have that physique than do women have like the Gal Gadot physique. Like you could just kind of depth. You look at male superheroes. That's way less men have that physique than do women have like the Gal Gadot physique. Like you could just kind of diet and do a couple Pilates classes.
Okay, but don't a lot of superheroes wear like a muscle suit underneath to make their muscles bigger? But also,
yeah, you're paying attention to an unrealistic movie character. Those men are still toned. My bad.
Okay. In your opinion, what would we have to do to look like Scarlett Johansson or what's her name?
He said diet and do Pilates.
Do you think that would be enough for me? I think more diet.
You could probably tone.
There's only so far you can take it to, like, just, you can't really get somebody else's body shape with just diet and exercise. There's also, you know, if you were born with smaller breasts, you probably can't just spontaneously grow them. You would have to gain fat in order to grow them, and even then it only goes so far, but then you also get fatter. So there's a lot of genetic variability in terms of, you know, body shape for women. But overall, just being a certain level of, like, just having a certain BMI is probably achievable with some work.
Tone up a little bit. You know, you do.
Muscle. Like I run.
Yeah, but you could do like
You
a
run
bit
with
of
your
Pilates,
arms?
do some Pilates.
Sorry.
He's really stuck on this Pilates thing.
Like it's really like, you know, mostly body fat.
I feel like the world is hard for both of us, both genders. That's my point.
Sure, I agree. I'm just talking about this specific thing. We have a chat here from.
So here they were talking about aspirational body types, and aspirational for what reason? Because a lot of times in the show they talk about, oh, well, you want to look good for the other gender. And in this case, I don't think that having the body type of those superheroes would be looking good for the other gender. It'd be more like looking good for yourself. Like, oh, I think I look good. For men, like being ripped like that, oh, I think I'm so hot, versus like for women, it's that body type on men is probably not as attractive as a little bit toned down, you know, not just that ripped body type. So yeah, I think there's some differences in what he means by aspiration and to aspire to a body type, like for what reason. So assuming it's meant by trying to look good for the other gender, like trying to be so ripped that women want to, you know, mate with you. I remember there was a post that went viral. So in the first reply to this poll, there's a picture of Ali Murs before and after a 12-week gym transformation. Do you think he looks better before or after? And then there's a poll. So let's look at the picture here first. So before, kind of average build. You know, he's got some muscle, but, you know, just average looking dude. And after, basically zero body fat, completely shredded, like super muscular, different shorts on. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything. It's just kind of, it's got, the second one looks more like panties than shorts. I don't know if that skewed the results there, but you can see like second shredded, first kind of average, still not like fat or anything, not bad, but just average. And if you look at the poll here, so there's a male before and after. So which do you prefer? The first two are male. So it seems that if you're male, you prefer the after. So men prefer the shredded one, and females are the last two options here. Pretty much like overwhelmingly preferred the before. So wow, I mean that's quite a difference there. This went viral because there's a whole debate of like, oh wow, you know, women must be lying, but just based on media, and if you look at like what are men portrayed like in the type of media that is targeted towards each gender, that tends to be the body type that target audience prefers. Like if you think about like superhero movies targeted towards men, that's the body type here on the right hand side, the super ripped. In things like romantic comedies that are targeted more towards women, you see more of this kind of body type on the left here. The superhero comic book kind of content that's targeted towards men, you see this body type on the right. So it definitely, I think it makes sense personally.
Inspire
At the
easier
end
than
of
a
the
woman
day,
can.
women spend way more money and time, like on their physique
true.
to look that way than men do.
Well,
Which is crazy.
Yeah,
to think
women
about.
men
also
can
feel
get it
like-
You
naturally.
guys aren't going to like.
I think you guys
aesthetic
focus
appointments for-
more on artificial improvements.
And if we
And what were
exclude
you-
artificial improvements, men can get their
Like, I think
shapes
men-
naturally. Women cannot. You know, no matter, you can't avoid your genetics. If you built, like a square, that ass could do, so much. You could only grow so much ass in the gym before you
much
have to buy one. But men can grow their shape naturally. I don't see no man out here getting plastic surgery, which is why it's easier for a man to get that.
Men do get plastic surgery. Sure, definitely not as often as women, but it does happen, especially more recently, and especially the younger generations. But there's plenty of male celebrities that get it. But I agree, it's not as common as women. There are a few more things that I'd like to react to, so if you'd like to see that, subscribe, let me know, and I will try to find some time to do a few more things. I do have a few ideas, just have to sit down and, make time.